Welcome back, everyone, to the deep dive. This time, we're taking a close look at, the Canada Pension Plan in 2025. It's like, your guide to retirement, right?
Definitely.
We've got these two great articles that lay it all out. Payment schedules, benefit updates, and even, clever strategies to really get the most out of your CPP. Oh, and to make things even more interesting, we've also got some news from the archives about, recent developments in the CPP world. Think of this deep dive as your one-stop shop. By the time we're done, you'll know exactly what's changing with CPP in 2025, how it could impact your retirement, and some smart moves to make to ensure a smooth transition into those golden years.
That sounds really comprehensive.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
So why don't we jump right in with the most practical stuff first? You know those payment dates that everyone's always wondering about?
Sure. Let's go month by month.
Mm.
So for 2025, your CPP payments will be coming in on these dates: January 29th, February 26th, March 26th, April 28th, May 27th.
Okay, got it.
June 26th, July 29th, August 27th, September 26th, October 28th, November 26th, and finally, December 23rd.
Perfect. And, for anyone who loves, having their finances nice and organized, the article really pushes for setting up direct deposit, through your My Service Canada account. No more waiting for those paper checks in the mail.
Absolutely. It's the most efficient way, really the most secure way to get your benefits. So now we know when that money is coming in. Now let's talk about, well, how much? You'd be pleased to know that in 2025, the maximum monthly CPP benefit is going to be $1,364.60.
Not bad.
But that's not the whole story. This is where we start to see the impact of those enhanced CPP contributions, the ones that started back in 2019.
Right.
It's fascinating, actually. Younger contributors who have been working under this enhanced plan, they're said to get higher payouts in the long run compared to those who, mostly contributed under the old system.
So it's not just a one-time bump, it's like this long-term shift that really benefits those who've been putting in more under the new system. Makes you think about, the power of playing the long game,
It really does. It really shows a focus on making sure all Canadians are secure in their retirement. And speaking of contributing more, the most you can contribute to CPP, what's called the year's maximum pensionable earnings, or YMPE, it's going up to $71,300 in 2025.
Okay, lots of numbers here.
Yeah, and there's an extra layer, too, the year's additional maximum pensionable earnings, or YAMP-E, that comes in at $81,200.
I'm trying to wrap my head around all this. What does this mean for someone who's, really trying to maximize the retirement income?
Well, it means that if you earn more, you have a chance to contribute more, and that could mean a bigger benefit later on. It's all about using these increased limits to your advantage.
Let's go.
Okay, so now that we've got the basics down, here's where things get really interesting. This article, CPP Payment Schedule and Benefit Updates, it outlines 5 key strategies to make your CPP really work for you. Ready to dive in?
Absolutely. I'm all ears.
Actually, before we jump into those, I think it's worth stepping back for a sec. Looking at the bigger picture, the Canadian pension model, it's gotten a lot of praise globally for how well it generates returns through all these different investment strategies. But recently, there's been this growing concern about political influence, how it might be affecting the way these pension funds invest.
Interesting. It's like this tension between, financial goals and political agendas.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's take AIMCO as an example, the investment manager for a bunch of public sector pension plans in Alberta. Remember back in 2020 when the government suddenly swapped out the entire board and put former Prime Minister Stephen Harper in as chairman?
Yeah, that was a big deal. What was the main takeaway from that?
Well, it sparked a lot of debate about political meddling in pension fund investments. Critics were saying that the move wasn't really about getting the best returns for the people who depend on those pensions. It was more about aligning those investments with whatever the government wanted, even if it meant risking lower returns.
And this wasn't just an Alberta thing, was it? I mean, the federal government has also been pushing for more domestic investments from pension funds.
Oh, absolutely. The Trudeau government, they've been pretty clear about wanting pension funds to invest more of their money here in Canada. They say it's all about boosting the economy and creating jobs, which sounds great, right? But there's a catch.
I was just going to ask, what's the catch?
Well, pension funds have this, the legal duty, right? They have to put the financial returns for their members first. So if they're being pressured to focus on domestic investments, even if those investments are riskier or might not perform as well, it could actually hurt the people who rely on those pensions.
It's like this balancing act, trying to meet national economic goals, but also making sure individual pensioners are financially secure. Tough situation for sure.
Yeah, it is. And it raises a really fundamental question. Who really gets to decide how this huge amount of money gets invested? Is it the government, trying to push its economic agenda, or is it the pension fund managers who are supposed to be looking out for their members? This brings us to another interesting case, the Caisse de dépôt et placement du Québec, the Caisse.
Okay, I've heard of them. What's their story?
The Caisse is kind of unique among these big Canadian pension funds. They work under what they call a dual mandate. So they're tasked with getting the best returns for their members, but also helping the Quebec economy grow.
So they're juggling like two totally different objectives. Sounds like it could be pretty tricky.
Yeah, it can be. And their track record, well, it's something to think about. They've generally been meeting their benchmarks, but there's some evidence that this dual mandate might be holding them back a bit. Global SWF, they did this ranking recently, analyzing long-term investment returns. The caution is they came in last place among the 8 biggest pension funds in Canada.
Interesting. They're not failing, but they're not exactly leading the pack either. Could that be because of, that dual mandate?
It's definitely a possibility.
Yeah.
Some big names in the pension world, people like Claude Lamoureux, he was the CEO of the Ontario Teachers Pension Plan. They've been very vocal about how much they hate dual mandates. They say those mandates just mean lower returns, even if the funds technically meet their targets. Their view is that pension funds, they should be focused solely on making the most money for their members, period. No added pressure about, boosting the economy.
So is there any way to make everyone happy here? Can Canada, encourage domestic investment without messing with the independence of these pension funds and the returns they generate?
Well, the Global Risk Institute, GRI, they had an interesting idea in one of their papers. They were suggesting that the government could get more investment from these big institutional investors like Canadian pension funds just by making those investment opportunities more appealing.
Okay, makes sense. What kind of opportunities are we talking about here?
The GRI, they specifically talked about large-scale infrastructure projects, things like airports, toll roads, renewable energy, public transit systems, that kind of stuff. Those are exactly the assets that pension funds are looking for all over the world. So the idea is if it's easier to invest in those kinds of projects in Canada, the government could attract a lot of capital from here and from overseas, boosting the economy without forcing those pension funds to change their investment strategies.
So it's like a win-win, right? It helps the government get those domestic investments, but it also lets the pension funds make their own decisions based on, sound financial principles. But even with solutions like that, the future of the Canadian pension model, it's facing some big questions, especially with, how quickly the world is changing.
You're absolutely right. Okay, so now that we've kind of zoomed out and looked at the bigger context, I think it's time to zoom back in and get into those 5 strategies for getting the most out of your own CPP benefits.
Okay, let's get tactical. Okay, let's get to those 5 strategies then. The ones from the CPP Payment Schedule and Benefit Updates for 2025 article. I'm really curious how we can make our CPP work better for us.
So the first one, it might seem kind of strange at first. It's all about, delaying when you start taking your CPP. You can actually start getting those payments as early as 60. But if you hold off, even just until you're 70, can really make a big difference in the long run.
So delayed gratification, but for retirement.
Exactly. You get an 8.4% increase every year you wait after 65, up to a total of 42%. Pretty good incentive to be patient, right?
42%, that's huge. But I guess this strategy, it might not work for everyone.
True. It really depends on your situation, right? Your finances, your whole retirement plan. It's definitely something to talk over with a financial advisor, someone who can help you figure out the pros and cons.
Sure.
Okay, the second strategy, this one's especially relevant now with that enhanced CPP we talked about earlier. It's all about working longer under this new plan.
So more years of contributions, bigger retirement fund.
Yeah, that's the idea. Contributing after 2019, when that enhanced plan kicked in, it can really boost your retirement benefits. The article even says your CPP could potentially replace a third of your pre-retirement income if you work long enough under this enhanced plan, that is.
That's a lot of money. Okay, strategy number 3, drop-in provisions. What are those about?
These provisions, they're kind of like safety nets, for people who've had breaks in their careers. I mean, stuff happens, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you took time off to raise kids or if you had to deal with a disability. These provisions, specifically the child-rearing drop-in and the disability drop-in, they let you basically take those lower earning years out of your CPP calculation. That way your average income stays higher and you end up with a bigger benefit.
That's awesome. It's great that the CPP takes into account those real life situations, things that can affect how much we earn. It makes the whole system fairer for everyone.
Definitely. It shows a commitment to Social Security, recognizing that life isn't always straightforward. All right, strategy number 4 is simple. Contribute as much as you can.
So put more in, get more out. Makes sense.
Exactly. And this goes back to those YMPE and YAMPI limits we were talking about. If you can max out your contributions within those limits, especially if you're earning a good income, you'll get bigger CPP payments when you retire. And the 5th and final strategy is about realizing that, CPP is just one part of the retirement picture. It's about coordinating your CPP with your other sources of income.
So making sure you have a diverse retirement income, right?
Right. Think of it like building a financial safety net with multiple layers. You combine your CPP with other income sources like old age security, OAS, the guaranteed income supplement, GIS if you qualify, any workplace pensions you might have, and of course your own savings. That's how you create a really secure and comfortable retirement.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket, as they say. Spread that financial love around. Create a retirement income stream that's strong and resilient. Okay, those 5 strategies are packed with useful stuff. I'm already thinking about how I can use them for my own retirement plan.
I'm glad to hear that. And remember, maximizing your CPP benefits, it's not just about checking things off a list. It's about having a good understanding of your overall financial situation and making smart decisions that work for you and your goals. It's a journey, not a destination, right?
Well said. Looking back at this whole deep dive, we've covered a lot. The nuts and bolts of payment dates, how those benefits are going up, and even those big questions about what retirement security will look like in the future. With the world changing so fast, it seems like our pension system is kind of at a crossroads. So I'm curious, what are your thoughts on this? How can the Canadian pension model, adapt and keep up with the challenges of this century? How can we make sure it's successful for decades to come?
That's a huge question. The world is definitely changing fast, and our pension systems have to keep up. One of the most important things, I think, is finding that sweet spot, that balance between encouraging domestic investment and protecting how independent these pension funds are. We need to find a way to help the economy grow without putting the financial security of all those pensioners at risk, right? Solutions like that one the GRI proposed, focusing on creating better investment opportunities rather than forcing pension funds to invest here, that could be a big part of the answer.
So creating a win-win where both the economy and the pensioners benefit.
Exactly. Another big thing is giving individuals more control over their own retirement planning. With those traditional defined benefit pension plans, the ones where you get a fixed amount, they're declining. More and more people are relying on defined contribution plans and their own savings for their retirement income. So financial literacy, understanding how money works, that's more important now than ever.
It's about giving people the knowledge and tools to make those smart decisions about their financial futures.
Yeah, exactly. We've got to break down these complicated financial concepts and make them easy for everyone to understand. And technology can be a big help here. Think about, robo-advisors and all these other financial technology platforms that are popping up. They're making investing easier, more affordable, accessible to more people.
It's like having your own personal financial advisor right in your pocket.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And as technology keeps evolving, we can expect even more innovative solutions, things that will help people take control of their retirement planning. Maybe blockchain will revolutionize how we manage and transfer pension funds, making everything more transparent and less expensive. Or maybe AI will be able to give people super personalized financial advice based on their own situation and goals. There are so many possibilities.
It sounds like the future of retirement security, it's all about adapting, innovating, and putting the power back in the hands of individuals.
I think you nailed it. It's about moving past those old models and trying new ideas, embracing new technologies and approaches that can guarantee a secure and comfortable retirement for everyone, no matter how old they are, how much they earn, or what their career path looks like.
This has been an amazing deep dive. We started with the nitty-gritty details of payment dates and how much those benefits will increase. And then we went all the way to these big questions about the future of retirement security, with everything changing so quickly.
It's been quite a journey.
To all our listeners, we hope you've come away with a better understanding of the CPP, some practical tips to maximize your benefits, and maybe even some inspiration to, rethink your own retirement planning.
The main thing to remember is that your financial future is not set in stone. You can actually shape it, influence it, by making informed decisions and planning ahead.
Definitely. And it's never too early or too late to start taking control of your finances. So whether you're just starting your career or you're getting ready to retire, we encourage you to check out those resources we talked about, think about your own situation, and maybe even chat with a financial advisor to build a retirement plan that fits your goals and what you want to achieve.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to your money.
And that wraps up our deep dive into the Canadian Pension Plan. Thanks for joining us on this enlightening adventure.
It's been a pleasure.
And remember, the future of retirement security, it's in our hands. Let's embrace the challenge, explore what's possible, and build a system that provides financial peace of mind for everyone, for generations to come.
Until next time, happy planning.